Okay, how's everybody doing? Look, y'all probably thinking something is wrong with her, right? I started a live, I made it private, I ended up ending it, and then I tried to record. I tried to record. I said, okay, what's the sense of going live if I'm not going to let people be live watching me, right? So then I decided, okay, let me just use the Zoom and record, and then I can edit. But then that didn't work out for me because why? Like, if I do that without knowing that people could be watching me, then I will restart and restart. I restarted like 3 times. Yeah, I've only been going for maybe 5 minutes, and I restarted a total of 5 times. So it's almost like when I do it live like this, it's almost like I'm holding myself, as y'all would put it, accountable. Like there's no start overs. Just let's do this, right? If I mess up, I mess up. I explain that I mess up and I keep going. That's what I like about being live. Now, um, yeah. So anyway, today I'm going to be drafting my grandson's um, Christmas outfit. This particular video is working on the pants. I did the front portion of the pants yesterday, but I'm going to redo it. I didn't finish it because my grandson, as y'all did witness for those who was here, he woke up and uh, yeah, he woke up. And legally, when he's here, he is the boss. And I don't have no issue with that. When he wants my time, then I'm going to give it to him. Okay. Um, he's not here all the time. He's here every 2 days and every other weekend. So he's here part of the time. And by the way, I love my grandson, and he comes first. So I'm not ashamed of that. Okay. I know some people be like, oh, are you saying the kids boss you around? No, I don't really mean that he bossed me around. But what I'm saying is yes. Babies control your life once you have them. And if you're taking care of them at the time, like my son was sleeping, right? Then yes. Um, yes, I'm sorry. The internet don't come before my grandson. Okay? So there's no shame in that. Today, people like to shame people for things they say. Like if I say my husband is the boss, oh, they don't like that shit right there. You know what I mean? They don't like that shit right there. But anyway, let me back up because I'm mixing channels and thought processes. Okay. I will be taking this down to edit it. So yeah, I'll end up taking that spiel that I just went through off this video. Okay. But anyway, let's get to it. Um, Yesterday, I showed the front of the pants. I'm finished with the front, but I'm gonna redo it um so there will be no confusion. Um, right? I'm gonna redo it. So let me share this screen. Number one, let me do that. Let's see. Uh-oh, share screen. This is why I like Zoom. Because if I could do this on StreamYard, man, StreamYard has some things that I like as well. Like I'm gonna be honest, I haven't really figured out how to use Zoom fully. And it's because I haven't even tried. Okay. I just turn this thing on and I rock and roll. Zoom is very powerful. I would like to be able to have me on one side, you know, and what I'm about to show you on another side. Seems like StreamYard make that real easy because I see people doing it. When people sharing their videos, you can see them on the side. And when I share videos on Zoom, I'm not sure. I've never seen where y'all can see me or the other people who might be on the panel. I might be wrong about that though, because the truth is I don't look at my own videos after the fact. But anyway, let me share. Leaky Licky's not here, so I'm back to using the iPad instead of my iPhone, which is good because when I was using the iPhone, it looked like it was in a square, a small square. But when I use my iPad, it was a little different. Okay. It looked better to me. Okay, so number one, I'm gonna try my best not to ramble. Okay. But I am a rambler, so I apologize ahead of time. I'm gonna make sure my settings for my display never locks. Okay, good. I did set that up yesterday, but I thought I changed it because if I don't change it, it'll stay on all night. You know, when I'm sleeping, it's over there. So I did change it on the phone, but it looks like I didn't change it on this, which is good. Okay, so now we're gonna go to the camera. Okay, cool. Okay, so I made a couple of changes and on the direction of this. If you have any questions about some of my equipment, I'll probably um, put it underneath the description, maybe. Only if you ask me to. Okay. If you don't, then I won't. Okay. Now, yesterday, this is the pair of pants that I drafted. This is the front panel on. Okay. This is the front panel on. Remember, I had gotten a little confused with the crotch area. So that's why that extra 2 inches was so we can put that crotch there. Okay, just to kind of let you look, we're gonna redo this. And the only reason I'm redoing it is so for those who didn't see the one yesterday, and so there could be some understanding because you do both of them together. Now I can just take this and say, hey, watch that video, and then I'm gonna show you how to do this the back of the pants, right? But what I'm gonna do right now is I'm just going to do the front again, and I want you to know that these pants that I'm making, some of the things that I'm using is the same anywhere from age 2 to age 5, right? 2 to 5, our bodies are made a certain way. I'm not sure if y'all know that a person's body um, is symmetrical with itself. In other words, there are some things that we found out in biology and things like that. The size of your hand equates the size of your face. You know, from if you spread your hands out side to your side out from fingertip to fingertip, is how tall you are, right? So these things are only different with people who are different. In other words, like somebody who may only have one arm. Of course, they don't have to go fingertip to fingertip. Or somebody who has some issues going on, it might be a little different from them. But this thing called sewing, it relates to mathematics. It also relates to biology, right? Because you need to know the body and how the body moves and things like that. So I know a lot of people think, well, if I'm gonna be a sewist, well, I need to know math, well, I need to know this, but you definitely need to know some math if you're a sewist. Unless you're just a person who just goes to the sewing machine, right? Somebody else do all the other work for you, the drafting and all of that, the pattern making and all of that. They do all of that, and all you do is sit at the machine and just zip it through under. Then I guess you don't need to know anything except how to use that machine. Okay. So, but other than that, you do need to know. So I say that to say that this pair of pants will fit children age 2 to 5, right? Upwards even 6. But when a child gets 6, they start doing these little growth spurts, and other things happen too. The crotch area will start changing, right? So that's why for this crotch depth means how far down into this should fit. This part right here, this depth would be for age 2 to 5. Okay, that's why I say age 2 to 5, and the differences The only difference in the age 2 to 5 will be the length of the pamphlet. As a child gets taller, this would just go, but everything else at the top will generally be the same. Okay. Now, for those infants, well, this wouldn't be so long like that in the depth of the crotch. Okay. So anyway, I explained that really quickly, and I'm gonna redo this for y'all. Okay, so I'm gonna show y'all. Let me see, where's my paper. So I purchased this type of paper. You can buy, you need it to be at least wide enough and long enough, right? So this was a real long roll where I take pieces off, and I think in the width though, let me see if I can measure it real quick. Centimeters. This is inches. Let's see. This look like it's 17 and a half. I know y'all can't see it, but down here, see, I have numbers, see it? So I put this on the 0 over here, and then and on the 0, and you see where it's falling? So I know that this paper is 17 and a half, okay? Which is a good, it's worked for me for mostly everything I need, I have no problem with, okay? But they do come in longer widths and wider widths, should I say? When you're dealing with width, that's how wide it is. I wasn't able to find any in the price range I was looking for. Going to the, so, and I thought this was great for me, which it is great for me. Okay, I've been able to make pants, shirts, bags, purses, book bags, and everything, drafting with this paper. So as okay. Anyway, so here we go. You need, I'm drafting directly from paper. I'm making an actual pattern, or I'm making a pattern. And I think yesterday I explained to y'all what the difference between a block and a pattern is. So some people make what they call blocks. What is a block? A block is a it's like a pattern, right? But it's no design features on it, right? In other words, from this that I drafted, and I think I explained this yesterday, I can make all types of pants. I can, if I wanted to make these into joggers, I would just make some simple changes in the areas in which to make these joggers, and that would simply be, I guess, how I would do the bottom, right? And joggers these days have, they kind of gather at the ankle area. Jogging pants didn't used to do that, so you can even make joggers that doesn't do that. I can make jeans out of this. I can, like this here, this is a pattern, and the only reason this is a pattern is because I did add seam allowance, right? I added seam allowance to this, so when I put this on my fabric, I could just cut it out. I don't have to worry about adding anything to the fabric. So that's why this is considered a pattern. But if I had not added the seam allowance, then it would be just a simple block. Okay. So, remember I mentioned yesterday about me having different patterns. I could show you different patterns. Let me show you. I think I may have 2 up here. I think I showed y'all one yesterday. You can have another one as well to kind of give you a sense of what I mean. Yesterday I grabbed it and I didn't put it back where it goes. Like that's not good, okay? I like to put things back where they go so I can just grab them. And I don't feel like running downstairs, but I don't want to run downstairs. So I was going to show y'all. I do have the one from yesterday, but let me see if I can find the other one. that I'm looking for. It might be in the drawer. Let me see. It be in the drawer. It should be right here, though. Oh, no, that's the one for. Let me see. I have lots of drawers over here, y'all. Do not see it. Okay. One area is not in a good, it's not, um, I've so much stuff on the table at this point. Because I was drafting. I've been drafting a lot lately. And where is it? It should be right here, but it's not. I haven't even used it. That's what's weird to me. It should be right here. Um, Maybe I took it downstairs. I probably, I probably took it downstairs because I'm not using the patterns, right? So that's maybe. But I was gonna show you that another pattern for boys, right? It's basically the same pattern except it was a suit for Leaky Leak, right? I think hubby when I made him buy it not this Easter but last Easter. I was like, oh man, I should have bought that pattern when it was on sale. Now I want to make him this Easter suit, and I was like, damn, I look there was no gonna be no sale. I had already missed the sale that month, right? Um, and so I had hubby go buy it anyway. And I'm gonna tell you, I wasn't happy about it, right? Um, because these patterns are not cheap, unless you get them on sale. There's always a sale where it'll be $2.99. If you don't get them when they're on sale, though, they could cost you $24 and up, right? Um, and then the store may or may not have a discount. So there's certain stores where you're going to pay damn near $20 for a pattern. Okay. But my point that I wanted to make, can y'all see that there's different views, right? You can make the jacket and it comes with making a tie too. But what I want you to focus on is that you can make these pants or shorts, or you can make the pants, right? And what I'm saying is this and this, the pattern block will be the same. This and this. The difference is you're going to add more length to the shorts to make them into the pants. Okay. And based on that alone, that's it, right? Because it looks like this may go towards the knee. So it already have the knee circumference in there built in. And so they're just going to take it down to your ankle, which if you could see how this is, it goes from, this will be the knee area. Wait, let me show it in this direction so y'all can see the full thing. Let me back up a little bit. Okay, so y'all can see. Okay, so this is the crotch area, right? Y'all can see that that's the crotch area. And, not far below the crotch area would be the knee area. And not much after the knee area would be the ankle area, right? And so this pattern, when it's this, it's ending somewhere around here. And then if I want to make them pants, all I do is I will put a piece, let's say this pattern right now is this type of pants by me shortening it. If I cut this out of fabric and sew it, I'll make this type of short pants, right? Now let's say it wasn't folded. Let's say I cut it. I had ended up making this pattern block this way. And in order to make pants, I wouldn't have to do all the other I would just add some paper to the bottom, like this. Take that on so it won't move. And then I would extend this down and make it into pants. Okay. And so when we bind patterns, what I would say is do not look at the suit itself. Take away, if you can do it, forget what fabric was used, the design on the fabric. Just look at the cut. Is it the type of cut you want? Okay. Because that's how they trick us as sewists who don't draft our own patterns. I'm sorry, I'm loading this back up there. The trick is you could go and you will see a pattern with this design on it, like this one. And then you go and see another one where it's a suit and it's just gray. And then you see another one where the suit, the lapel on the jacket, the lapel area, which is here, right, might be black and the other might be white. And that's what they put as the picture on the pattern. And then you'll buy this one, you'll buy the one that's all gray, and you'll buy the one where the jacket is white with a black lapel and the pants are black or white, right? And you done bought 3 different patterns because you based it on this visual of how and that's how they set this shit up. They set it up that way. But the truth is I don't even know why they put this on here. Well, I do know why, but it doesn't benefit us. It's benefit them because the only thing you should be looking at is this, the design with no coloring, no colors, no nothing, right? All we should see is this, and what you will find in them 3 different patterns that I mentioned is that this is the same, that the shorts or the pants is the same, the tie is the same, okay? So that's important to know that you shouldn't be caring about the picture. Like there was no way I would have bought this. Like when I showed my son this and say, "Hey, I'm gonna make you this suit," he was like, "Hell no!" Because he see this suit, he see that he's like he not gonna wear nothing like this. And I'm like, "Oh, don't look at that. I'm gonna buy whatever color fabric you want. Don't look at that." I'm like, just look at the design. You're going to get a suit with a lapel, 2 pockets if you want. I could take one off if you want me to. And I'll make you a pair slacks that go with it. And he still couldn't envision what I'm talking about. Because all he'd see is what they show here. Which to some of us, that shit is ugly. And to other people, they think that's nice. Right? To me, yeah, I wouldn't make that for my husband. My husband wouldn't wear that shit. But I think none of my sons will wear this with this type of, with their colors. But I think one of my sons will wear pants with a nice shirt that match with, that's not classic gray, white, black. I got one son who would probably sport that shit out. Okay. Anyway. Look, I'm rambling, but I'm giving information that's necessary though. For those of us who sew and buy patterns, we need to stop letting them use our visuals to confuse us. And I can show you, like if I go downstairs to get all my patterns and lay them out, I can show you where a lot of them I shouldn't have bought because I already had that shirt already in a pattern. But then what got me was looking at how they styled it and the type of fabric they used, right? So that's why drafting is something I'm very interested in. And it's really simple. It saves you lots of money and it saves you lots of time. Okay. And by the way, let me see, did I cut any of this? I'm not sure. I don't think I haven't. You could tell I never even opened this pattern, right? I never opened it. It's still the way it came. Okay. But if I open this pattern is for sizes 34 to 42. Okay. So it's really one piece, and then it has all these little, let me show y'all. You see these lines right here? This probably, I would cut on that line for the 32. I would cut on that line for the 34, and that one for the 36, that one for the 38, and then that one for the 40 to 42. And see, yeah, in fact, it shows it right there. 34, 35, 38, 40, and 42. See that? Now imagine, I want y'all to look at that really closely. Look at that difference between a 34 to 36. If I measured that, it might be 1/4 of an inch. It might be 1/8 of an inch. Let me see. Let's see, put it in. From the size 30, when it started at again, from size 34 to size 38 is exactly 1/8 of an inch. That's it. From one size to the next size is 1/8 of an inch difference. So that's why this is a waste of your goddamn money. Because if all it is 1/8, I'm talking about, do y'all know what an eighth is? Let me show it to you on. 1/8 of an inch is a very small piece. This is done in what this is. This is, this metric is, I think, broken down into 16ths, I think. No, that looked like more than 16. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Yeah, that's 16. I think it's broken down into 16. An eighth is very small. From one line to the next line. See that? From that line to that line is 1/8. That's how small it is. Okay. And therefore, if I needed to go from, if I had a block, so everything inside of the pattern would be a block. When they start adding these things like that, like it would be the block with the seam allowance, and then they start sizing it up. That's why I can show you how, even if you have a pattern piece already cut out and you need it to be bigger, I can show you how you make it bigger by adding that additional 1/8 of an inch. And if you talk about when it gets to a bigger size, it goes from 1/8 to like 1/4 of an inch. Right? With women, it's a little more detailed in where you would add this, because we got things like darts. It depends on what type of fabric we're using and things like that. Okay. So it's really not that difficult, y'all, to understand. And so once you get the gist of sewing, then you might probably want to start creating your own patterns. And you start with a block. I'm about to show y'all though how I did these pants. I did them yesterday for those who watch. Today I'm going to show you, and then I'm going to do the back side. Now I'm not sure if I want to cut this again because I already have a video, but okay, I'll do it. It's no big deal. I'm gonna need a piece of paper. I gave him a piece of paper yesterday for him to color on, right? But I don't think it's long enough. Let me see. But I don't really need it to be long enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm gonna just go over the basics. But I'm gonna keep this for something else. Um, I'm not going to get rid of this. I am going to cut another piece, right? And I'm going to walk through how I did this, but then I'm going to use it for the back piece. So The first thing I need it to be is as long as this piece, so I can make it easier for me. See, because if I don't take it off the roll, it'll keep rolling, okay? So I'm gonna put this at the top up here. I'm not sure if y'all remember, but I had a side starting line that was an inch in. So, and as you can see, I think y'all can see, you can see the lines on it. This is why this is so helpful. I could put the edge of the paper on a line, and so I can see that 1 inch in, okay? And then what I'm gonna do is at the top up here, because when I ripped this legally, I didn't cut it, I ripped it, which means it's not straight at the very top up here on this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to I'm actually gonna, I want a starting line, right? So I'm gonna mark here. I do want this to go in an inch. And one. So I'm gonna just mark a few lines on that line there, okay? And the reason I'm gonna do that is so I can take the ruler put it on that line. Just draw a line. Okay? And this line is just simply so I can straighten up, get this raggedy pieces from the top here, okay? That's all it is. Okay, so I get some scissors and I cut that off. I'm not sure if y'all can't see right what I'm doing. I'm just cutting this. So you do need a starting line. Now, the thing is, this is not going to be my starting line, but I do want this to be a little straight so it won't confuse anybody. And I don't want it to confuse myself either. Okay. So I take that little part off. Okay. Now, so I remember this part right here. If y'all can remember, I told everybody to go 2 inches down. So that would be our that's where we're gonna put the elastic. See, it folds like this, which make this the waistline. But I'm gonna change it up a little bit, and I'm gonna do 2.5 inches, just to have that 1/2 inch to tuck under. So I'm gonna put this on a line, and just visually, because I can see the scale, I want to go 2.5 inches down. Or it really is easy. Let me show you how to use a ruler when you're doing it like this, how you see people do it so quickly. If you put the 2.5 on the edge of the paper or whatever you're cutting, okay, so that's I prefer this. This is much quicker. This is why you see people use this. It's much quicker. Right? So number one, I'm gonna go 2, and this is my 2.5 on this ruler, right? 2.5, and I'm gonna just go to I'm gonna just mark like this, and I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna put the 2.5 right on the edge of the paper, mark there, and then I'm gonna go down here as well. Okay, and do the same thing. And so now I take a ruler, an actual straight edge or something, and I just want to connect those lines, right? So I want to connect this line with this line. And then we'll connect that line with this line. And that's how I make straight line. Okay? I shouldn't have to show y'all how to make a straight line, but that's how you do it. Now look, if I put that top equally to the, and you'll see where that, through that, that's a straight line all the way across. You see that? Remember, this is 2.5 inches, not 2 inches or 3 inches. It's 2.5. So it falls right in the middle of these two. Okay. It don't, and let's say this line wasn't as straight. Let's say the very beginning at the top of the paper wasn't straight. It really doesn't matter if it's directly perfectly straight, right? Because we do know that this line though is parallel with this line. Is that the word parallel? When it goes the same? Yeah. Because I used this as the line to measure down 2.5. So even if it was a little crooked, it wouldn't matter because it won't be crooked because it's not crooked. it might be confusing you, but anyway, so I went 2.5 inches here. Yesterday, though, I went only 2. So when I put this, you'll see that it's a 1/2 inch larger. That's okay. Okay. Now when I went 2.5 inches, or whether it's 2 inches, this is now called my waistline. Okay. And remember, I want to go 1 inch. I want to do a starting line 1 inch in from the edge. That's just called the starting line. It don't have to be perfectly straight. I can use a ruler. I don't have to use a ruler, but I do want to just put a few marks. I'm not even using a ruler. I'm just looking at that line that I visually see. And if I want, I could just trace it. It don't have to be exact. And I don't want to use, I don't want to really use that because it'll get confusing to y'all. I'm going to use a pen. Hopefully it works. Because this is a starting line, but it's not a cutting line. Okay. And that line don't have to be perfectly straight, y'all. Okay. But you don't want it to be all messed up neither, you know what I mean? It's just a starting line, that's all. Okay. I'm gonna raise this up so I can go a little farther down because if I'm correct, I ended up going down like 29. So I'm it's on 0. And it's at 19 now. I'm gonna push this back over. I'm at 19 now. Put that 19. I'll go down, I go to 20. So now I'm at 20. So I want to, if I'm correct, this went to 26. So I need 6 more inches. Because I'm at 20, right? So I need 6 more inches. I'm gonna just move this here. Make sure this is straight as I can get it. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're gonna go down 7. Let's make sure. I'm gonna put this weight line at that line right there. Yeah, that's long enough. Okay. And it's a little longer. And what I'm gonna do is now I want you to be straight. And then I'm gonna kind of do a line like this. And then I'm gonna cut that off. Okay. I'm not sure if y'all saw what I did, but I just did a along the line that I could see at the bottom. I just kind of do some things that will allow me to follow it as I cut that off. Okay. So I can have the size. Now the thing is though, I need two of these. Let's do two. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna fold. I'm gonna take that line that I was gonna cut. And I'm gonna fold that. That line, that line is right there. I can see it. Not sure if y'all can see it. Okay. And then I'm gonna go. See, that's what happens when you deal with fold paper that's rolled up. Okay. And then what am I going to do? I'm going to simply make sure this is flat and then put some things on it. Make sure it's flat like that. Or somebody just need to put some things on it to weigh it down. And then I'm going to cut what is in this paper. And, first I can mark it and see where it lands. When it lands, I want to put it on a line. Now I'm just going to cut that. I put enough little lines so I could follow and be as straight. Okay, and now I can put this away. And now I can open this up and I could cut on this line as well. Remember, this don't have to be perfect. This line don't have to be cut perfect because I did go a little below. If I needed it to be perfect, though, I would have used the ruler. Okay, to get perfectly straight lines. You do what you see me doing now, right? Not drawing straight lines with the ruler. That's because those lines do not matter in the end result of the pattern. Okay. But if it's a line that matters within this pattern, please do not do what you just saw me do. Basically, all you saw me do is get two pieces of paper that I need in the size in which I need to create this. Okay. And so it doesn't need to be straight. Those lines that I made that way, it's not necessary for them to be straight. But when you're doing anything dealing with the pattern that fit a person's body, please use your the items that you have to do that. Rulers, measure tapes. Yes. And if you don't have a ruler, find something with a straight edge. Okay. with the For the beginners who may not have certain things. Okay, I have yardsticks somewhere around here. I do have multiple sewing areas, and that's why sometimes I might be looking for things up here that may be downstairs. I have a whole sewing area downstairs with the cutting table, and that's where my embroidery machine is. That's where my industrial sewing machine is, and there's so much down there. Sometimes it get hard going up and down, but I don't want to buy things just because I have two areas. I shouldn't have to buy, two pair of Pekin shears when I can just take them from up here and bring them down there when I need them. The problem with that is, though, sometimes I don't bring them back up, or so I have to run back down or run back up to get them. So I usually have a bag that I tote. If I'm going downstairs, I'll put things in this backpack that I have. I put all my scissors in there, all my measuring tapes, pins or whatever, clips, and then I bring them back and forth. Okay. Most people just have one sewing area, and I have multiple. Okay. Anyway, so here's the piece of paper. It's for the pair of pins that I'm making. I made sure that it's long enough. Okay. As y'all can see. In fact, I made it a little longer because I'm adding 2.5 inches at the top. Yesterday, I just did 2. This is not wrong, and this is not right. What I'm saying is the 2 inches will fit my 1 inch of elastic in it. It's just the way you might want to complete the top, right? When I fold this over, when I just use 2 inches and I'm gonna use 1 inch on each side, that means I'm gonna do a zigzag stitch when I sew this down, right? To kind of cover that. But which is easier to me. It's easier to do it that way for me. And that way I don't have a raw edge inside the pants. Let me show you a pair that I made. This is what I made him last Christmas, right? And here is the inside. And this was the 2 inches that I have up here. That's what this is. And if you look, you can't really tell. Nobody can tell. But at the end here, I didn't do a fold over. Some people do a fold over. I didn't need a fold over. I put it down and then I just kind of stitch closely. Okay, that's what I did. And yeah, you can. The only way you could tell that these are homemade pins is because there's no tags in them, right? If I purchase tags and put them in, then that would be different. Okay. But yeah, there's nothing about this that you can tell that they're homemade. Because they were from, like, if they had been for, like, if I was making them for somebody other than family members, right? There's a few things I would have done, like, so see that's raw edge. You see that? See the raw edge? You could see that. I would, if I was selling these pants to someone, well, I wouldn't have raw edges. I would have either zigzag stitched that close or put it on my which I haven't used but one time ever. Like I bought that thing and I used it one time. As my what is that thing called? Anyway, it'll come to me. But I would make sure. But these pants I made these a year ago. Let's take a look at it. I made these a year ago. Liquid warm many times. You don't just wear them during Christmas. These are a nice pair of joggers. They've been washed many, many, many times, and they still constructed really nice. But like I said, if I was making these for somebody else, other than a family member, then I would have protected the edges. But I just want y'all to know that there's a lot of things that these people online are teaching that is unnecessary. It's just a bunch of unnecessariness. And they're doing it because when you look at a purchase garment, they're saying that the edges are protected. But what they're not understanding is that when you buy those type of garments, they tear apart anyway. And this has nothing to do with the edges. It's not the edges. Okay. First of all, it's not the edges that's tearing those things apart. It's the fabric and the construction. They're made not to last long. That seam, that when they're sewing, they're not using a 2.5 or whatever. They're using long stitches to hurry up and get that stuff created. And then, so we got people telling people that they need to bound these raw edges. And I'm like, for what? You're just wasting time. Okay? You're wasting your time. Does it look better? Like, who's turning the pants right inside out anyway and looking at what it looked like in the inside? And by the way, this does look good. And look, it got raw edges, y'all. If I wouldn't have told y'all there's raw edges, y'all wouldn't have known. Y'all wouldn't know that it's different and wouldn't care. Because the only time anybody care is if their pants start coming apart. Okay. Anyway, that's all I'm gonna say about that. And we got a lot of teachers, people who are not teachers, and they're just talking, and people will follow, and then I hear them say something. Then when I do a video, I say that same thing, and then somebody hear me say it, and they heard them say it, so they think, okay, that must be the right way to go. And so we start sharing information that is unnecessary. That's how incorrect information get put out. And then it takes somebody like myself who's been sewing or started sewing over 40 years ago to say that my grandma, aunts, they didn't do this. They did not have something called what's the name of that machine over there? Damn. That I only heard of that machine in the last 5 years myself, right? Coming to YouTube and then I started hearing you can't even use the machine to sew anything together unless you putting edges because it cuts the edge as it sews. The machine is ridiculous, really, right? I is it good to sew some things? It makes it quicker for me to sew knits. So I'm not saying that it's totally useless, but what I'm saying is I've only used it one time, and and y'all seen me sew. I know I sold over 100 things this year alone, and that's on the low. Okay, that's on the low. That's me going a couple of weeks without sewing anything at all. But then when I start sewing, I might sew 5 things. When I sew a bag, it's minimum 2. I cut out 2 of everything that I make. Okay, which is not. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not. Okay, because I got a lot of half-done projects around here. Well, I completed the one that I needed, and then I got the other one cut out. I guess I did do that for in case something goes wrong with the original one, the first one. Then I have a second one where I've already cut it out. Anyway, these pants are over a year old. We've been wearing them. He's a boy, and you could see they've been washed probably a dozen times, and um, I would say a dozen times, and it looks good. And the raw edges. And by the way, this is fleece. This is fleece. Okay, it's soft. It don't look like it, right? It look like because it is 100% cotton. But what's fleece is when they take the fabric and they do like a brushing to it to make it soft. They break the fibers and make it real soft. That's what this is. Okay. And they hold them really strong. And I didn't have to do all that. What is this though? Look like I see a thread. Probably just got sewn inside there. Because let's see what that is. Yeah, right here. See it? See? It looks like I did a reinforcement what is, oh yeah, I did. I do a reinforcement right in this area, right in the inseam. And that's what that was. You can tell where I started and stopped. And I didn't cut it. So it's nothing wrong with it. See it? It's just a long stitch right there. Well, I should have cut it off. Okay. But there you have it. That's we making these pants. This type of pants. If I would have put this in jean material, it would have been a pair of jeans. If I would have used this for cotton, just regular you know, woven material, then they would be a pair of slacks. And I ended up making this with this fleece material, and then I added a band down here to make them joggers, and that's what they are from the same pattern. Same pattern, and that's my point with that, okay? Same pattern. They got a lot of people telling you to do things that don't make sense. These pants, even if you wore this outside, the wrong side out, they look good, okay? The stitching is excellent. Raw edges are shown, but you can't really tell. If I didn't tell you there was raw edges, you wouldn't be able to tell, but unless I come real close and see, you can see okay. In fact, sometimes that's a design. Like if I take this, if you want some, where you have, it looks like it's fringe. Well, this is how fringe is made. Fringe is made by breaking the fabric and pulling out the edges, and you do it and do it up until a certain point, and then now you have fringe, and that's how it's made. Okay, with woven material, and you break down the weave. That's how fringe is made. Okay. Anyway, so that's the 2 inches at the top, and I put an inch waist elastic in there. Okay, and and they stretch out this far. And so now that you've seen these pair of pants, right, we're going to show you. If you look at the inseam, no, the side seam. If you look at the side seam, you see that side seam is, I'm not sure if y'all can see it. Let's see. Let's get a little closer. Probably hard to see. This is the side seam. You notice the side seam is here, right? And the other one is here and here. These are the side seam to the pants. This is the front, this and this side. And this, after the side seam, is the back. And you notice, if you ever look at any of your pants, you'll notice that the back wraps to the front of your pants. This is the back. This is the side seam. Side seams attaches the front to the back, and the back wraps around to the front. And it's because the way our bodies are made, when the body is placed in there, then the side seam will fall right at your side. But our back side is wider than our front side. That's why you have a front and a back to these pants, pattern pieces. Okay? So I cannot use this and cut it into 4 and then sew them together and get a pair of comfortable pants. Okay, it would be weird because the crotch area wouldn't be deep enough. The crotch area is deep enough for the front. Look, if y'all see how I wrap that there? Look, if I put that there, the end of this falls right there to the back. This falls right to the top. I'm not sure if y'all can see that because remember I have this folded down, but if I fold that up, that'll be exact. It's exact. That's the front, but that will not be exact for the back though. Now this is the back, and you see how the crotch is curved differently. This is the crotch. Look, it don't fit. See that? So how it fit perfectly on the other one. That curve is a little deeper. This doesn't fit there. You see, I can't even relate. I can't Get that. Okay. Okay. So now we got to do the back. This is for the people who really like to sew and really are into drafting. I want you to visually see the differences. Okay, so you'll know why. Okay, so am I gonna cut this again? I'm gonna draft this really quickly again, just to give you an idea, but I'm not gonna really cut it out because it's already cut out. And then I'm gonna show you the back, okay? But I am gonna draw the lines because the same lines that I used on here, I'm gonna need to on the back. Okay, so hope that makes sense to you. And the difference is on this one is that I did at the top, I did a 2.5 inch for this. Okay, so don't worry about that. The starting line is still the starting line, the waistline. It's still gonna be the waistline. Okay, you see that? I'm still going. So what I'm gonna do is it's gonna be easy for me, but I'm gonna talk you through it. I'm gonna talk you through it. Some of the things gonna be the same. I need to put something on here to stop this from rolling. Put a couple of things on it to stop it from rolling. Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay. So remember, I have a starting line, and I told y'all yesterday, and I'm gonna stop talking about what I did yesterday. We're gonna start like I'm doing it brand new again. Okay. So we have a waistline. I told you from the top of the paper, go 2.5 inches down. Okay. 2.5. Okay. From the edge of the paper. And I said this will be our starting line. That means everything that we measure will start from this line. And we also have a started line on this way, 1 inch from the edge. Okay. That's either point 5, no, 1. It's 1 inch, right? Yeah. So that's 1 inch. I'm sorry. That's 1 inch. Okay. 1 inch from the side and 2.5 from the top. Okay. Now, so my measurements for literally the piece of paper. I said I wanted the pants to be 22 inches long, right? 22 inches long. So remember, I have a starting line. So I'm gonna measure 22 inches from this starting line. Let me position this a little different, y'all. Give me a second. Because I need to get here and I want y'all to see what I'm doing. Okay. All right. Am I back enough? I think you should be able to see. Let me see. Can y'all see? Yeah, you can see the start line right here. Right? And you see the start line right here. So I have Lee's hip circumference. Around when I measure his hip, I put it at 22. Right? I wanted to give him a little space in there. Really, when I measured his hip, it was at 21. Okay, but I went up 22. And 21 also was a nice length for him, but I gave him an extra inch. Okay, you could do that or not do that. When you're talking about children, they grow real fast at their own pace, however they want to do it. And so putting in an extra inch will not harm. Now, if you making something for adult though, and you selling it, and you want perfect fit, now you gotta you know that's why you do fittings, right? You do fittings. But when it comes to making the pattern though, you there's something called ease. Ease meaning, hey, let me put on an extra few inches just in case. Just in case they gain some weight in between me. I'm not measuring them and me making the actual garment. So it's something called ease. And when you purchase patterns, they naturally put ease in, and the only way you know how much ease they put in is when you go to read the pattern piece. I've seen where some of these companies have put in 4 inches of ease. I've seen where some of them have put in 6 inches of ease. I've seen where some of them only put 3 inches of ease, right? That's important to know, uh, and things like that. But when you creating your own, then you creating your own, right? You put in how much ease you want to put in and how much you think is beneficial for my family. It don't matter. Wait, is this? No, this is not the same pattern. I'm about to add that to that. Uh, I think this is what I was looking for. When I was looking for the pattern, I think I was looking for this. See, this is a different pattern. This, you see that? This is pattern. Oh no, it's the same pattern. Wow, that's crazy. Y'all, what I was about to say, right? One of these is for men, one of these is for children, though. Wait a minute. Um, this is, they said it's the same pattern. I may have gotten it because of different sizes. Why did I get this one? What sizes is this one? This runs, yeah, no, it's the same. I'm not sure. I think these pieces is what I needed for the jacket. That's why they probably out and cut. And the rest of this I probably didn't need right then and there. But anyway, I don't know. I'll figure it out when I really can. When I really need to know, I'll figure it out. Okay, I thought that was the child one. But anyway, now, so I'm not gonna mention what I said yesterday because it's minute. This is a different video, right? So you only need, the good thing about making this for kids is that you don't need a whole lot of measurements, and you only need the length and you need your hip circumference, and that is it. Okay, you need your length, how long you want the pants to be, and the hip circumference. We're dealing with young boys and or young girls. Okay, so with this type, and that's only for this type of pants, with the waist being the waist is elastic. Okay, now you would need it differently if you was making a different type of pants. We're sticking to just this type of pants. This the type of pants that I've already showed you that I made in last year is what we're talking about. Okay, that's why I put the additional up here. That is so the elastic can go in. Okay, so let me, I gotta find something where it's flat. Put something in, y'all. Usually I would take an iron and iron it and it'll stay flat for me, but I ain't got time for all that. I don't need to do that. Okay. So I want it to be 22 inches long. That's from the starting line. That's so I'm gonna take my measuring tape, and from the starting line, which is also called the waistline, but right now we're calling it the starting line. I haven't given any of these lines any names yet. So from what I've told y'all, the starting line, we're gonna measure down as long as we want these pants to be. And I wanted them to be 22 inches. Okay. So the easiest way to do it is to put the 22 on the starting line. See the 22, put it on the starting line. Put the 22 on the starting line, measure down, and then take your pen or marking item and mark as such. Oh, I didn't show y'all that. Let me show you. Okay. I put that and then I mark just right against it. And that's And so we need a couple of those because I'm going to make a straight line. So once again, I'm going to put the 22 on the starting line, just farther over. It don't have to be too much farther over, right? Make sure the tape is straight. 22, and then mark. Now, once you have two lines, now you can easily make your line, right? I just put the ruler. I'm not sure if y'all can see. Let me do it from the other angle. I put the ruler against the lines that I created. And then I draw a line all the way across. Try not to move that ruler. I'm in a bad position, y'all, so that's why I'm in an odd position right now. So, okay, see how you draw the line? That's how you draw the line. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to slide it up to make sure it's straight on the line that I can see. And I'm going to just continue drawing that line like that. Because it don't have to be exact there, but we do need that line for reference, okay? Okay. And now this is where the end of the pants will be. And we could call this the hem, right? So we are now going to give some names. But before we do that, though, okay? So y'all, we see our starting line and our ending line. We just going to call that the bottom of the pants, right? Now, from this starting line, we want to go down 7 inches. 7 inches. I'm going to put the 7 on that starting line. See, I put the 7 on the starting line, and I want to go down 7 inches. And I'm going to mark 7 inches. And I'm going to do that again in another spot. 7 inches. Okay. And then I'm going to draw my line. Okay. I don't know. Paper driving me insane. Okay. There we go. Get me. We're going to even this up. I can use my grid line underneath to help as well. But I'm going to add a line. Okay. I'm going to straighten that up, and I'm going to bring it all the way out. Okay. So now is when we're going to start labeling these differently. This is called your waistline. This is now the child's waistline. And this is called the hip line, right? This is called the hip line. And the bottom is the hem line. Okay, we got that? Everybody got that? Cool. So this is the waistline, hip line. So remember I said we needed 2 measurements. We needed to know the length of the pants, which I told y'all was 22 inches. And we need the hip measurement, the circumference. You take this type of measure tape, that's why it needs to be, right? And you put it around the child, and you measure their waist. And most children between this age range will be about the same unless they are larger. And they have some kids who are smaller as well, but it doesn't matter because the truth is this size will fit most kids between the ages of and um and 6. I'm sorry, 2 and 5, right? 2 and 5. A 6, once they get 6, some things change, maybe, possibly. Okay. Um, but this is so even if you don't know your grandchild's or your child's weight hip measurement, okay, if you don't know their hip measurement, then depending on the age, you can go and look and see what the age the sizes for age ranges. So I'm telling you, what we're making now will fit them as long as they're in this age range. And even if a 2-year-old is sized like a 5-year-old, this will fit them. You see what I'm saying? If the 3-year-old is sized like a 2-year-old, it will fit them. Okay, so that's what you need to understand. You understand that this is for ages range 2 to 5. Okay, the measurements I'm giving. Now I did take my grandson's measurement last year, this year, and even year before. And the truth is, around his hip area, uh, is always 21. He's been 21 for a while. It hasn't changed from last year. The only thing changed from him last year was his height. Okay, I hope that makes sense. The pants, so what happens with the pants that fit him last year, because he was shorter, they fit him a little more baggy, but they was very comfortable. They looked good on him. This year, as he's getting taller, they fit him less baggy. They still look good on him. And he's gonna be able to wear them pants next year as well. Unless something happens to him, to him, and he end up, just gaining a lot of weight or something like that, and becoming bigger than a 5-year-old. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so and what changes in when the kids get bigger is this hip line. The hip line starts getting lower. Okay, that's what happens. Hip line between their waist and their hip starts getting a bigger, right? This length starts getting bigger, longer, or should I say? This is the waistline. Can y'all see my finger? This is the waistline. This is the hip line. When the kids start growing, this space right here starts getting wider. Okay, but it only gonna go up to a certain width. From a man to a child, it's only maybe a couple of inches from this space. Now, women is different. Okay, women is different, and girls it gets different. When our puberty hit. But even a little girl, age 2 to 5, will be everybody's pants. Okay, the way we drafting them. That's my last time saying that. Possibly, maybe not. But anyway, y'all get it? Y'all got it. Okay, cool. So I did decide to take the measurement of my grandson, and his hip circumference was 21. When they're babies, they don't really have hips, right? So it's called the tummy measurement. That's why this is different from babies. But I'm gonna be honest, the 21 ranges in the babies also. Babies, but when they're babies, their tummies is the biggest part on their bodies. Okay, and if you take the circumference of a baby, it's still gonna be about 21, y'all, between 19 21. Okay, so that's what they found. And when my grandson was an infant, yeah, the 21 was still there. It was kind of weird to me. I'm looking, I'm like, wow, his measurements are the same since he was, like I think he was like 18 months. His measurements hasn't changed as far as circumference. The only thing happens is he starts getting longer. Okay. Anyway, So let's talk about that 21. Anything in the hip area, or if we were doing the waist, we don't need the waist because I'm going to show you that because of the type of pants this is, it doesn't really matter, right? The waist is going to be clinched in to fit because of the elastic. And that's why we don't need that measurement, okay? So the hip line, though, I put it at, I'm giving it 22. Everything that we do on a pair of pants, skirt, things like that, especially pants, when it comes to our measurement, the way I'm doing it, we divide based on the size of our body. We have 4 sides to our body, okay? Just in case y'all wondering why it's divided into 4. We have a front right, a front left, a back right, and a back left. It's 4 sides to our body. When we are sewing, that's why I say this is mathematics. It's all types of mathematics too. Some of us think we don't know mathematics. You're not understanding, but once you start understanding things, you start realizing there's some geometry in it. There's some, there's some algebra in it. Of course, subtraction and addition, that that's the basics of everything. But so we have a front and back left side, a front and back right side. And that's why what I'm about to do with that 22, now with 22, usually what we would do, we would divide that by 4, but I'm making a pair of pants. Remember, we're making a pair of pants, and the front and the back are not equal. Although it's circumference, we're doing 2 pants legs, 2 separate pants legs. So we're going to take this and we're going to divide this by what? Yeah, we're going to divide this by 4. We're going to take this because we talk about the hip, okay? We're going to divide that by 4. 22 divided by 4. If I'm correct, is we're going to put 5. That's 20. There's a remainder of 2. So if I do it the way I was taught math, I don't know how y'all were taught math, depends on your age, right? We take 22, we divide that by 4. Okay, I'm gonna show y'all in case y'all never learned math this way. Okay, 4 cannot go into 2 that is not big enough, right? So you got to do the 4 into the 22, and so that would be 5. Why? Because 5 times 4 equals 20, right? 5 times 4 equals 20. But there's a remainder of 2. See that? Because you didn't subtract. There's a remainder of 2. And because that 2 is smaller than that 4, right? Since it's smaller than that 4, you just have to put it up here, and then you put the 4 like that. But we know that we could break down 2/4, right? We can make 2/4 really is 1/2. How do we know 2/4 is 1/2? Because 2 goes into 4 one time, right? I'm sorry. I said that wrong. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Yeah. 2 and 4. 2 divided into 4 is 1. No. 2 and 4, right? This goes to get the denominator. There's numerator and denominator, right? Okay. This goes into 2. So 2 goes in. So you would really do it like this. You would do 2 and 4. And then you would do 2 and 4. Right? Because you needed to you needed a number that both of them go into together. And then, see, I know how to do it the short way because through my memory, but I'm trying to get this right. Make sure I know one is the numerator, one is the denominator. You have to so the 4 goes into both. And so 2 goes into 2 one time, and then you just bring down the 4. See? right? Remember, we had to get a in order to make this. So it's one. Wait, I did something wrong. 4, 2. Something I'm doing wrong, y'all. Something I'm doing wrong. But anyway, that's the answer. 5.5. Okay, 5.5. What did I do wrong? I haven't done this in so long. I know we need to get a common for the 2 into, okay, the 2 into 4 goes twice, right? Yeah, don't get me all messed up, okay? To break that down and longer to show my proof, I forgot. But I do know that there's some kind of way where that 2 into 4 goes twice, and 2 into 2 goes once, right? And so that's the answer, 5.5. Look, I'm trying to show y'all math, baby, and then I screw that up. But the answer is 5.5. Okay, 5.5, because you break down that 2/4 into a half. Okay. Um. So, what does that mean for this? That means I'm going to start from my starting point, which is here on my hip line. Because remember, that's what we're talking about. The measurement was 22 on his hip line. So we are going to go 5.5 from the starting point on the hip side. Okay. So I'm going to put 5.5 right there on my starting line, which is right here. Something happened on my computer. Oh, it's telling me it found some issues. Give me a second, y'all. Okay, cool. Sorry about that. Okay, so you see how I'm doing? I put this makes it real easy, right? I put the 5.5. I slim this out, make sure it's straight, and then I put a mark, a small mark, just so you can see it. Okay, it's small, and you just have to be able to see it. So that is 5.5 inches on my hip line. Now what we're gonna do, that's if I just needed to know, if I needed to cut this out and make sure that it fit, it will be exact fit. But we have to add some things to it, a seam allowance. Okay. So you determine your seam allowance, but for me, although I never sew a whole inch seam allowance, I'm going to give it a whole inch. But remember, I'm going to be sewing on both sides. So whatever, I'm going to give it 2 inches, right? So I giving it 2 inches. I'm going to be honest. I do it that big so it can have that ease. That way I don't have to add in ease because I'm naturally having ease. Okay, so what I would recommend is just put in the 2 inches. Some people just put in 1 inches. Okay, so you want to do 2 inches from your 5.5. You want to add 2 inches. That's what I recommend. But for those who already know what you're doing, you probably do it a little different. You probably gonna add in less. You may add in more. I'm telling you that I do not sew whole inch seam allowances. I don't think I've ever done a whole inch seam allowance on anything. I usually do about a 4 inch, half an inch maybe if I'm dealing with curves, which means that additional whatever I don't take away, it's just ease. Okay, that means the person gonna get in it comfortably. Okay, and remember, 2 inches is not a lot, y'all. But 2 inches could, look at 2 inches. 2 inches. That's the additional that I just added. That's not a lot. When does 2 inches become a lot? If you're putting it additional 2 inches on this side, that, yeah. It could be 2 inches can end up being 8 inches real quick. And 8 inches, now that's a lot. If eight inches is a whole lot of extra. You know what I'm saying? In clothing. But 2 inches is not a lot. Okay. Um, So I went from the 5.5 mark, I added 2 inches, right? That's the seam allowance. And now though, this hip line is also the crotch line. So I'm gonna add another 2 inches for the crotch line. Okay. So I put the 2 on that last line and I go and I add another line. Okay. So I went 5.5. I went 2 for the seam allowance. And then I did another 2 for the crotch line. Now, this is, I want to zoom out a little bit, but in a little bit so y'all can see. So remember, I did 5.5. That's the hip line. I did 2 for the seam allowance. And essentially, if it wasn't a crotch that I was doing, if I wasn't doing pants, I would really stop there. So what we're going to do, we're going to stop there, but we're going to bring it up to the waistline. Okay. So I want to add this. I'm going to put that there and bring it to my starting line. And that looks to be, is that 7.5? Yeah, a 7.5. So we're going to take that 7.5 and bring it up to the waistline. Okay, did y'all see me do that? I added all of this, less the crotch line. Because this, we're not going to have a crotch up on the waist. We're going to have a crotch here. So that 2 inches of crotch, I don't need on the waist. So you can either take it and measure it from here, or you can measure from here. Okay, you can measure from here and then deduct that 2 inches. So this puts me at 9.5. If I deduct 2 inches, it still be 7.5. So however you want to do it, okay? Or before you added the 2-inch crotch line, you could have just added it and then brought it up. But what it is 7.5, everybody, 7.5. What I'm going to do, for me, because I have a grid that helps me, I'm going to make sure that's on the line, make sure that's on the line. And these 2 marks that I made, right? I made a mark here and here. I'm going to make sure that they are on the line. And then I'm just going to draw a line. Or I could just take my ruler and from that notch, that little mark to that mark, and draw a line. Okay? Now I'm going to make that line dark because that will be a cutting line. Okay? That's going to be a cutting line. I'm going to make it where y'all can see it. I have an orange one that'll be darker. Okay, y'all can see it. From my waist to my hip line, that is a line. Okay? Now we're not done because see, we have this 2 inches on the crotch, remember? So I measured there's 2 inches from this line that way, and I also want to measure 2 inches from that line going up. Okay? Can y'all see that? This the waist, this the hip. That means this is down. I want to go up from this line up 2 inches. Now y'all see I have grid lines that help me, but if you don't have grid lines that help you, then you take your ruler, you're measuring, whatever you're measuring with, put the 2 on the line and measure up. Okay? Now, there's a couple of ways you can do this. For those who are beginning, you may not have the ruler that I have. I might not even have the ruler that I have. Look, it should be here, but it's clear. And sometimes it's hard to find. Okay. This is this helps me with curves and things like that. Okay. So what I would do if you have a ruler like this, you need a curve to fit that matches that and that, right? You need this to hit on that, and you need this to hit on that. Okay. And there's all kinds of look, I found that I can get that to meet up in crazy ways that don't fit, that's too much curvy. That don't fit is not meeting on both. That matches up right there. Okay. Where I can draw a line like that. You can use any type of circle. You have a something like this, it's not wide enough, so that's why that won't work. See how it's not touching that line and that line? So you need to find a circle that's wide enough, that's in your house, okay? Or you can free draw it. You could take and say, okay, I got to go from this line to that line. Let me just free hand draw a curve. You don't need what I used. Okay, you don't need it, but you could freehand draw it or find a plate, and you just need to make sure that whatever you use, it doesn't go past this and this line. It needs to fit, and wherever the point meet that and that, just draw the line. Okay, y'all got that? Okay, cool. So now we're not done exactly yet, but we're done with that. Not yet, though, right? There's something else I have to do. So I'm gonna have to recurve that. I shouldn't have done it in a permanent. Because at this point, remember this starting line? I want to take away, because the body isn't straight like that. Now, if you know how you can tell if somebody didn't do what they right here, you ever looked at the side of your pants and the seam didn't go curve with your body? It wasn't straight along. It started either going to the back or the front. That's how you could tell homemade clothing on people. You could tell because when they wear it, the side seam isn't going straight up and down their side. It may be in the side at the beginning and then it curves either to the back or the front. That's because the person who made the clothes, um, you know, they may have just used a regular pattern and didn't do the adjustments needed, or they just didn't, they draft something and didn't know what they were doing. Okay. So the body has natural curves in it. The way our hips and everything. It's like a slight curve in the men. It could be real big curve in the women, though. Like a woman like myself, baby, it's a deep ass curve. It's an abnormal curve with me. Okay. Really, truly, for real. Anyway, at your hip, it's where there's a curve, right? Remember, this is your hip. This your waist to your hip line. The hip line means that's where your waist fall. That means so the curvature in your hips is up in here. Okay. So we talking about kids though. So we only gonna give them 1/4 of an inch, 0.25 or 1/4 of an inch in from here, right? We're gonna go 1/4 in. Okay, so 1/4. I'm gonna put a whole number there. I'm gonna put it on one, right? I put a one there, and I just want to go 1/4 in. So that's the 1/4 from that one. So this is 1/4. Because I'm about to deduct this. This is no longer valid because I went 1/4 in. I need to add that 1/4 inch back. Okay. So I have to go at the end of this and add the 1/4 inch. So I'm gonna go to the end. I'm gonna add that. So now Remember where that curve had to go there? I got to get that curve to go here. So we're going to redraw it. It's not, and it's going to be a very slight difference, but it will be a difference still. Okay. I could have put the fort here and then added that up there too, but no, you don't want to do that. That's why you do it the way I'm doing it now. Okay, so I want that and that to meet. And really all it did was stretch that. It's the same line except it stretched a little bit out. Okay, that's all it did, y'all. It stretched it out there like that. Same line. It just went out a little bit more. Okay. And we're going to handle this edge now because we don't want to forget that. This is the starting line here, and that's the starting line there. But on the waistline, we changed it. So we need this beginning line right here to attach to that mark, that new mark that I made. It's a small, slight curve. It's not. So what I did, you see, I found a spot on the ruler that fits here and meets there. And so what you're going to see, it's an ever so light curve. I'll add that there, put that there. I'm going to take my mark and I'm going to draw to that line. Now, I'm going to go closer. So I'm going to see if I can go closer so y'all can see what happened. You see the pin line is a straight line, right? And you see that pin line. But you see my new line, it comes out a tad little bit. And then it curves a little bit in. See that? That is how the body curves though. Okay? Remember this, and this is the side, this is your side seam of pants, right? It's not straight like that. Our bodies are not straight like that. Okay. So when you're dealing with tailors and seamstress, if they don't do things like this, then they are not tailors and seamstress, because anybody can make a pattern boxed out. If they don't understand the body though, and they don't do things like this, then that's why you can have on some shit that just don't fit you right. Okay. So anyway, we done with this up here. Okay. I'm not gonna, because this gonna go all the way up, right? This, we don't care, all that just extra shit after the fact. Okay, so we're not worried about that right now. Now we're getting to the portion. Let me back it up. Okay, put that there. So we're going to the down here where we have the mark for the edge of the pants. Okay. Now, so the first thing I want to do is I want to go in a whole half an inch down here. Okay. Because like we said, the body, it does some curvature. And when it get farther down to your ankles and stuff like that, on the seam, it does go in. And we're going to put it at a half an inch. Okay, we're going to put that there. And we go a half an inch in. When we did it here, we did 1/4 of an inch. Slight, ever so 1/4 of an inch. We get here, now we're doing half of an inch. If you want to see what that look like, if I put it on this line, you can see that that falls in the middle of these two, right? So that's a half an inch. Okay. Now, what does that mean we're going to do now? We have to measure I'm gonna give it, let's see, I did measure. So what I did, I looked at a pair of leaky pants, right? And if I'm correct, I measured it, right? Let's see, I think I ended up with like 6. Yeah. So I measured leaky pants, a pair that he had, and it was 6 inches, which is basically what you would do is take the ankle size. I wouldn't do this for kids, y'all. 6 inches is good, okay? I think it ended up being 5, and I added, no, how did I do it? It was 6, and I divided it, and then I added the seam allowance of 2. So it was 6. I divided it by, did I divide it by 4? That was, and that actually came out to his ankle. When I measured his ankle, I think it was something like, it was something real small. But remember, on pants, you don't want the ankles to fit exactly. So you kind of give it some space, right? Some ease. So I did 4 because his ankle came like something like 2. I added 4, and then I added the 2 seam allowance. So I'm gonna put this at 6. Just do what I do, and if you need more explanation, just let me know. Okay, I'm putting that at 6. Okay, 6 is good. If your child is 2, they're still gonna fit, and if they are 5, it still will fit. Your ankles don't get much bigger. In fact, you'll learn that when you come to even adults, you'll learn that it's not too much of a big difference there neither. Okay. Now what I'm gonna do is we need to connect this, I mean, this point to that point, this point to that point, this point to that point. And you could do a straight line, or you can do it yourself with your hand. You could just kind of give it a little curve, kind of a small light curve. If you don't want to do that because you don't trust yourself, you could do what I did with a straight line. Okay. This ruler isn't long enough for me to do this. So what I would let me use my pen first, because I am going to end up giving it a slight curve. And what I want to do is I'm gonna do this. Okay, so that's my straight line. You probably can't see it very well. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna follow that line, but I'm gonna give it a little curve like that. Okay, it's light curve. It's very slight because you can see the line, right? You can see the line. Let me see if I can zoom in so y'all can see it better. This is the actual line, and then I kind of curved it in a little bit, and then I went to that point. See that? You don't have to do that if you don't want to. You could just follow that straight line, okay? Because this is the inseam anyway, okay? It's not gonna be shown because it's the inside of the pants leg. And so, yeah. Now, if you wanted skinny jeans, you still would use this block with skinny jeans. You don't change it just because you want the jeans to be tighter on you. You would still use this block, but you would do things like in certain areas, you would start curving it in to get a tighter fit. Okay. But you still will use the same block. Okay. and with skinny jeans, you also will use stretch material. And then you would do what's something called negative ease. That means instead of putting ease in to make it bigger for comfort, you would take ease out and make it smaller. So the stretch fabric would stretch more for a tighter fit. But that's a whole nother conversation another day. Okay. So now you also gonna connect this to this, right? I don't know if y'all can see. Let me back it up a little bit. And we want to connect this front of the hip line to here. Okay. But remember there's a different spot now. You're not gonna use this. You're gonna use this where we came in 1/4. And when we go to this line, we're not going to this point, we're going to that point where we went a 1/2 inch in. So there's a little deviation of a 1/2 inch. And these, if I had a hip curve, which I do not, I need one, to be honest, if I'm gonna be making pants, skirts, you know what I mean? I do need one, but I'm gonna be honest, those things are like $30 for one ruler. I'm like, God damn. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to first put a mark. I'm gonna try to see if I can. I need to keep it going on the same angle. That don't look like it's going on the same angle. Okay, I need it to go here. Now, okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go angle up a little bit. Let me see if I can angle that down a little bit and get these two to meet up. Look, I need my I have a yardstick somewhere around here, y'all. Anyway, so this came in, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna curve it a little bit. Just a little curve, slight curve, and bring it in like that. So this curve, and then you see there's a slight kind of concave right there. Okay, so what you do, you don't want that. You kind of just take this and smooth that out and make that kind of fit. If you have anything that look like it's pointed, you smooth that out. Okay. And so this goes like this, it curves like that, and then it kind of stays straight for a moment and curves in like that. And that is, now we got to add the seam allowance to the hem. 2 inches, 1 inch, however you want to do it. I'm going to do 2 inches, which gives me some wiggle room. I'm going to put that line here and make sure it's straight like that. And then we want to go about here. Here. So I must draw a line. You really just, for him, you just need like a inch, right? Or even an inch is good. But if you dealing with kids, 2 inches, you would do a hem that's 1 inch, and then do another hem, a loose hem that you can take out later. I know y'all don't do that. These kids today, y'all wear stuff and then y'all think it's it. It's over. It's like Hey, I wear it 2 times and now I wouldn't wear it again. I'm not wearing it. Like what? When it comes to kids, first of all, kids grow so fast. If you just tried to keep up, that's hard as hell. Okay. Literally grow so fast. That's some things I was like, ooh, I'm gonna save this for Easter. And by Easter time, we bought it for Christmas, was saving the outfit for Easter, and now he can't even wear it. Okay. he can't even wear it. Okay. So now this is what we would cut out. Okay. Let me show it to y'all. I am going to actually cut it out. I said I wasn't. I said because I have one. The difference between this one and that one is really that 1/2 inch that's up here, and I could show it to y'all. I did everything else exactly the same. It fits. Actually, it looked like right up in here. Um, Everything else is the same. It looks like though I made a straight line. I didn't curve. See, I curved this one. Remember, here I did a straight line, and I didn't curve it to the bottom. Okay, but the only thing different between this one uh, is that 1/2 inch up here. I don't think y'all can see it. It looked like it's. Let me. It's a little tiny 1/2 inch difference, and therefore, what I'm not gonna. So what I'm trying to consider if I'm going to cut that out. I already have one because I could do part two now. Part two will be me doing the back. And what you're going to find is in the back, we're going to extend these lines out. This line, that line, and this line, the 3 lines. um, there's some things that happen to the waist, but with kids, you don't have to do that. Okay, so the honest truth is, um, yeah. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna do part two using this same pattern part. I'm not gonna cut it out yet. Okay. But you see, everything matches up. The lines are in the same spot. Everything kind of matches up. Okay. Everything matches up. So now we're going to do part two of that's the back pan. So the lines are already there because I knew I had to extend these lines out. So let's move some things out the way. Okay. So the good thing is I don't need this on top because this is the same exact as that, right? And I have the lines already. And so what happens, what you're about to learn is that the back and the front, the back is bigger, is wider. When we're talking about how wide, we could do 2.5 from this line down and 3 from here. Okay. 3, 2, and then 3. That's because this gets deeper and curvier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just measure that. So this is how we do the back. So think this is the front, but we're going to make this the back. You see what I'm saying? Okay, because I already got a front cut out. So we're going to now go and we're going to start with the bottom. We want this to be 2.5 inches. Is it 2.5? 2.5. 2.5 inches. So we're doing that line from this hemline, 2.5 inches. Wait, let me make sure that, because I know I'm thinking 2.5 inches and then 3 inches, or it could be 2 inches and then 3 inches. People do. There's a few people who do it a little different. Okay. When it comes to these measurements, it's really about the body. I'm dealing with a kid, and I'm gonna be honest. I think it's 3 inches and then 2.5. Let me check. Give me a second, y'all. I have notes on my stuff, okay, so I can make sure. Okay, yeah, I was right. It's 2.5 and then it's 3. Okay. So remember, we have a couple of lines. We have this bottom, which that's the bottom. You just carry that across. Okay. You just carry that across. We already got this line, and then we have so we're gonna do 2.5 inches on this line. So we put the 2.5 right there on that line. And then we're gonna just mark. I'm gonna just mark on that line. Apparently. Oh, I must have put okay, 2.5 on that line, which is pretty much the same. 2.5 on that line. When I go to the crotch area, we're now going to 3 on that line. Okay, from there we're going 3, and the waistline we're gonna go 3 as well. Okay, so I put 3. It's 3. Then it's 2.5 and 2.5. Okay. Now, give me a second, y'all. my notes of my notes. Okay. So that's on the back end, right? Yeah. So in order to make sure I have my cutting lines right, I'm just gonna continue. So I did it on the lines, and now we're gonna go past the line. 2.5 on what I'm doing to cut, right? On my line that I created. And we're going to just that way I have a cutting line, y'all, that I could follow. I'm actually going to put it on that straight line that I had. And then I'll make the adjustments accordingly after, okay? And then it goes straight like that, 2.5 and 2.5, yes. So you can see 2.5, if I want to draw a line, it'll be this, and then it'll go like that, okay? But when I get to this, it's 3. 3. So we're going to do with this curve at 3. 3. 3. And 2. I'm not sure if y'all can see, but you will be able to see it when I mark it. Okay. Let me see if I can put it right there. And that's where this will go. That curve. See that curve, and then here to here, like that. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This is something not right. Wait a minute. I think this one shouldn't be here. So I gotta get you to curve, and go here. I see the curve. Boom, boom. I gotta let you go here. Boom. That's why the curve gonna be like whoop. No, look. I'm gonna use my curve. Where you at? The inside of the curve. That's where you at. But that 3 inches, we check. That's 3 inches, yes, from you to you. But if I put you here, that is 3 inches. And then if I put you here, okay, yes. And I'll put you here. Oh man, this thing is awesome. I don't think y'all understand how awesome this ruler is, baby. This ruler is awesome. Okay. That ruler gave me exactly that curve I need. And it's on the inside. It's on the inside of it. Okay. So this comes down and then you go to there. But that was so confusing to me. As in drawing it. Okay, cool. So this is the end mark right here. I'm gonna draw that, y'all. I'm not sure if y'all can see it, but I did use the inside of the ruler to get that. Okay. Um, okay. And that's, I'm not sure if y'all noticed the outside of it is less of a curve than the inside, which I did tell y'all that's how the back is made. Okay. Okay. And then now from that point, it goes down like this, which would be 2.5. Let's make sure. Yes. And so I'm gonna use my little bit to make these points. I'm gonna be honest with you. Something okay. I I know why, because remember I curved it, but I said I was gonna just do it from the straight line. So that's why it starts getting off. Because I didn't do all of them from the straight line. I did some of them from my curved line. Okay. And that's why it was looking weird for a minute there. Cool. You, 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 you. Okay. And then I go straight down that point. Well, they gotta be 2.5 inches out. That would be here. Okay. So from you to you, and then you to you. Let's see if y'all can see it. Okay. Ah, okay, hold up. Give me a second. Let me look at my notes. Okay, because I do know I have to do something at the waist. Okay, so give me a second. Let me look at the notes. Okay, yeah, at the waist. Okay, so I'm gonna need this back. Make sure that's at the waistline. Okay. So this is the front, and this will be the back. Okay. I'm gonna make it now. So what's different now is we're gonna go. Let's work at the waist. Okay. We got to keep this down. So on the front of the waist, we want to go down 1/2 an inch. Okay. Now what I can do is, now see, we talk about 1/2 an inch from the waistline, not from the top to the top, but from the actual waistline. We want to go down 1/2 an inch. And so I'm gonna do that in a pen. I can actually see them 1/2 an inch because of my grit line, but if you want to see me do it from using this, I put the 1/2 on the mark, which this is the 1/2. And I go here. That's on the front. Okay. Put that on the front. I went down 1/2 an inch. Okay. Y'all see that? I went down 1/2 inch. Right there. And then what you do is I'm going to use my ruler and go from the front and go down that half to the 1/2 inch from this point right here down 1/2 inch and draw a line. Okay. So see that? A 1/2 a line. A 1/2 an inch, and I drew the line like that. Okay. 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 And on the back end, though, that's this one, we're going to go up 1 inch. One inch. Second, let me look at the notes again. But this is where it get tricky, okay? Because the back of us is higher because we got butts and it's wider back there. Even from people who don't have butts, big butts, they still have butts. So our waistband and the way our body falls, the back is higher than the front. Now, let me be honest. I didn't do that for these. I didn't do all of that. These are kids' pens, and I'm gonna be honest. What I'm doing now is not necessary. Okay, they are equal all the way around. It fits in good. It fits in comfortable, and things like that. Okay, I did not. I did not do that. Now, when I was sewing it together, I did notice, though, right? I was able to notice that slight differences. Okay, but I was noticing that it it was a little different especially in the gathering. What happened was in the back here because I didn't make those adjustments. Okay. So let's be honest, you don't have to do what I'm doing now. And I'm not even sure if I'm going to do what I'm doing now. I should have just left that out of it. But um, it is something you need to do when you start dealing with older people. Okay. Them little inches and things like that and how a body shapes are completely different. Kids don't have butts. Now, if you're dealing with a kid with a diaper, like literally still wear pull-ups every once in a while, um, yeah, it matters. But you couldn't even tell in these pants with his pull-ups on. Okay, hold up. Yeah, y'all. Okay, let's cut it. Let's get it. Let's okay. So the front isn't complete yet, but it will be in a stitch. All I have to do with the front, remember I did cut it out yesterday, is cut that that line one half down, but I think I did that line wrong. I wasn't supposed to go from there. I was supposed to go from the top. I went from the waistline. Was supposed to go from the top. Okay. I was remember so I know why I'm confused, why I messed up with that, because remember the one that I did today is a half inch wider. Remember 2.5, but I did 2 here. So I was supposed to only go um a half an inch down from the very top. So let's do that again. Not from the waist. Okay. So when I do that line, from the tip. I was wondering when I looked at it just now, I was like, wait a minute. If I cut that off, I cut the waistline off. So it's not even much that I'm taking off. Okay. So I'm taking off 1 inch, half an inch at this end, but it's damn near nothing here. Okay. So I'm going to cut that off now. Okay. So this is the front panel and it's done. Okay. It's done. Now, ooh, Lordy, the back panel, I was supposed to go up an inch here. So now this is where I'm confused at. And the only reason I'm confused is because I did a 2.5. So I need to take a half inch off, which I do not want to do. I can always add, like once you have the pattern piece like this, and you realize, okay, you didn't put enough at the bottom, you want it a little longer, you just add it to the fabric. and just cut around the fabric. Same up here with this waistband, right? If I wanted to add the additional half an inch, when I put it on the fabric, I make sure I have a half inch and then I cut. Okay, I can either mark a half inch above and just cut around the fabric that way. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna have to do here because if I start making changes, which I do not want to do, which I've already done, I'm gonna take a half an inch off this. So how am I gonna do this? I'm gonna put this on a straight line, make sure it's straight. And then I can see the half an inch. If I put my lines, I'm using my grid line, and now I can see you. Okay. So I'm gonna take you off, right? Yes, because remember I haven't cut this out yet. I haven't cut this out. Now I'm just gonna mark this up like this so I know to take that off. But remember, I'm about to add. Okay. And I'm gonna ah hate that shit. Okay. Waistband, waist, and I'm supposed to go up an inch. I'm not gonna cut that off. I am going to take you from that mark and up. Okay. And I'm just gonna mark that half and use the rest of you towards the back. But you're supposed to go up, up, up. Yeah, okay. Bring you up, up, up. And I'm gonna cut you out, out, out. I'm done with this, man. I should have left. Cut you out. Because I'm actually tired with. Okay. Miss Ben. Cut you out, out, out. Okay, so I'm so used to doing this on the fabric itself. Okay. So it's a little different when you're doing it on. Let's see. Do I want to keep the straight line? Nope. But I curved it. I'm good with it. But them scissors, I hate them scissors that I hate. Okay. Um, my paper scissors, which are right there, I can see them. The handle gives me make it hard for me to cut. What I do with them little bitty ass scissors I just had? It's so tiny. Oh, there you go. Okay. Finish cutting this with these little tiny wires. At the time, it's a little curve. If y'all watching me smooth that curve out. That was so like, what I did not do. Straighten this up at the top here. Still at the cut. It's very piece at the bottom. And now this is done. You can see the curvature in the waist. If you look closely, I'll show it to you in a second. You can see that the everything is matching up in the front as they should. Okay. Because this side is the outside seam. This is the side that you're going to be able to see, the side of your leg. This is the inseams. This the inseam, this the inseam. This the inseam to the back, this the inseam to the front. And you can see the differences is in this crotch area. This is where all the play happens. Okay. It looks like it's gonna be a big pair of pants, but it's not. Remember, I added 2 inches in order to so this 2 inches that we see basically right here, most of that will be sewn in, right? Remember, 2 inches was for the seam allowance. So we talk about taking an inch off this side and an inch off that side of the pants. That's 2 inches. So 2 inches, when you're looking at this, 2 inches is going to be taken away. So imagine me taking 2 inches. Let's see what 2 inches look like. So from here to here, that's just one pants leg. So that's not too big. That's absolutely nice size. Okay. I'm not really like what I did to the top up here. I'm not gonna be concerned with that. Actually, when I put it on the fabric, I'm gonna just keep it. These are kids' pants. If we was talking about adults, though, I would have had to worry about that. We talking about older kids. Yeah, we have to worry about that. 2 to 5, we don't have to worry about it. Okay. Okay. So this is Leaky Leaks pants. It's Christmas pants pattern. And remember what makes this a pattern instead of a block is that the seam allowances are here. Everything is here. Now what I can do, I could put some let me see. Anything that I want to match up to make sure that everything is right, I can put some little clips in, but the honest truth is, yeah, everything's good. Fold that up on that one right there. And fold this part down. Put this part like that on that line. And you too. And that weight line. Like that. Now, it looks like I need to, let me see. I'm done with this. I'm thinking about doing the next video, which would be the shirt. I've already cut the shirt out, but I did make a mistake. I did do a boo-boo when I was cutting the shirt. Where is it? Let's see if I can show it to y'all. Okay, so I did the sleeve pattern. This is a, I think 5.5-inch sleeve. Okay. So everything, this is a sleeve that I did. This is the shirt that I did, but I messed up. I noticed it as soon as I cut the neck out, just the neck. The only part that's messed up is the neck of the back. Okay. The sleeve portion is right. Everything is right except this back portion. I knew it once I lifted it up like that, and I was like, oh my God. I know y'all can't see it. The neckline in the back should be way smaller, shorter. So it was supposed to be where I just cut out a little piece of this and left the rest, and I ended up cutting that all out. But this is going to be the top to those pants, except I have to do the back again, which is simple. I'm going to put the back piece. This is the back center piece, right? I'm going to put the back on the back of that, and then I'm going to fold it over, and then I'm going to just recut. I'm going to cut that the same way it is, because that's correct. The neckline is the only thing wrong on this. Okay. And then I don't think I'm gonna show y'all me doing that. I can, but I don't know. But I am gonna show y'all when I cut everything out, and then I'll probably show y'all when I sew it together too. But I do have a couple more patterns, and this, because the back was wrong, the back yoke is wrong. That's what really made me notice that that I did something wrong. When I cut out the back yoke, I was like, wait a minute. I like, no, this is not right. And then I looked at the shirt and I was like, oh, snap. Okay, that's the back yoke. This the front yoke. Okay. This the sleeve. And after I make leaks, then and I sew it together and see if anything needs to change, then I use the same pattern block. I'll see when I'm using it for an adult, it can become a block, because now the measurements that I use for this to be seam allowance won't equate when it's talking about adults, right? So when I measure this out, this can be a block for an adult shirt. The difference though will be in the armhole and in the neckline. And then possibly in the length, 22 inches. I think I did this at, yeah, 21 inches is the end result on the shirt. One, this is I think I wanted it at 19 inches. Something. Let me see. No, the pants was at 22. I think I did the shirt. I wanted it at 19. I hope, because essentially what I've done. Let me look at it. Is that 21? 19. Yeah, that's a 2 inches for the hem. Okay, that's about right. That's about right. Yeah. I'm gonna redo this, but I'm about to take a break, y'all. I may do this today. This was a little more detailed than the pants. Okay, the pants was fairly easy. I did a lot of talking, trying to explain just in case. But with the shirt, you need things like um, neck, neck and shoulder depth and things like that, but not really with kids, because just like with the pants, I give you a certain number and it'll fit for ages 2 to 5, right? And the neck depth of 5 and things like that. These are things that's just with children, period. Okay. Um, just like when the people who I've learned a lot of this from, not this, because they don't teach you how to measure and come up with exact. They just tell you, oh, go 3 inches down. Go 3 inches down and then you. That's what, look, I'm not lying. This is how they educate you. Let me show you. I'm going to do exactly the way they do it. And then they wonder why people have questions, or because you ain't giving no goddamn answers. Now, just because they ain't give answers don't mean they're not right, right? But let me show you how they do it. They'll say, hey, you want your sleeve to be 6 inches? And then they tell you, okay, grab a piece of paper, make sure it is 6 inches. That's all they tell you. So they'll do some shit like this. They don't even tell you, really. They just say, hey, I'm gonna make my sleeve 6 inches. So what I'm gonna do, y'all, I'm gonna just grab so I can cut a piece. Because I'm gonna do exactly how they do it. And I don't think they understand what they're doing, because they know they're not teaching as if people don't know. They're teaching as if they're like they do know. And so I'm like looking, I'm going over 100 goddamn videos, and I'm like, what the hell is going on with these people? Why aren't they getting? And they must be looking at each other videos and just kind of, you know, giving the same type of information, and they're not understanding that people may be watching and just don't know. So I'm gonna cut out a picture. This is exactly how they do it. I am not even lying, y'all. They'll say, okay, this is gonna be the sleeve, and they'll have a piece of fabric, and it'll be like this, and then they'll fold it over like that, and then they'll start measuring, and then the first thing I hear them say is, okay, go down 3 inches. They'll do something like, wait, so probably want to make this. Let me see where my sleeve at. We're gonna do it like this. They'll say, okay, go down 3 inches. 1, 2, 3, right? That's how they'll do it. 1, 2, 3. We just gonna go 3 inches. And then they're gonna say, okay, you want the sleeve to be 5 inches. And they just take it and they'll measure 5 inches, but they're not telling you what is 5 inches is measured. They don't tell you where should it be on the fold, should it be underneath, where should it be. They don't tell you. Okay, so they just go 5 inches. They'll mark 5 inches, right? But they didn't tell you nothing. All you know is they got a piece of fabric or a piece of, and you know they measured 5 inches. And you also know that the 5 inches is supposed to be the length of the sleeve. So you know that because they'll say, okay, you want the sleeve to be 5 inches, measure 5 inches, right? And then they'll tell you, like I said, 3 inches, measure 3 inches down. And then they say, okay, then they'll say, what you need to do is you take a curve and you go, woo, woo. I'm not even lying. If I'm lying, y'all show me where I'm not lying at. They tell you that they do this, they go down to 3 inches, and then they'll do that. And then they cut that shit out and say, see, it's done. Look. And so they do this, they do that. And then that's their sleeve. Now check it out though. Their sleeve look kind of close to my sleeve, right? See that? This is the one that I actually measured out based on measurements and things like that. And this is what they tell you to make. You can fit this into something, but it'll be there. But they ain't give you don't know what the hell you do with this. Right? What do you do with this? And why does it look so different than mine? But yet it looks the same in essentially, right? So this is what they teach you to make, and this is how you should make it. But this could work. You can, when you sew, you could fit this in, but that's not what a sleeve should look like. This is what a sleeve should look like. If when you open it up, you can see the difference. You can see all kinds of differences. Although they both are 5, I think this one 5.5 inches. That's why I just cut this one at 5 inches, right? So that's that half inches, but there's a big difference in that, y'all. Look at that. That's a big difference in that. Question is, will this work? Yes, it will. It will work. You'll have to do a lot of ironing and things like that to get it to fit in there and blend in real nice. But also, though, the reason this will work because the pattern that they teach you also is so basic. They tell you, hey, the basic debt, like what I did with the pants, right? On a basic child, you could use basic numbers. You could use basic, you can just say, hey, this is how you do it with a child. You could do that, right? Remember what I mentioned with the waistband. I don't have to really go down and the up for the change in the back because they're children. And so, I guess if you were doing a suit for a child, you wanted them to look, like little adults, yes, you would do that. But for children, you don't have to do all of that, right? So that's why this will come in handy. This will come in handy and all that come in handy. But this is a sleeve pattern based on the size and things like that. Most of the reason why they say go down 3 inches because most of the cap in our shoulders is about 3 inches. So they tell you go down 3 inches. And then they tell you, whoop, just go like this. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what did they just say, dude? What? Wait. And so I was so confused. And I was like, okay, I could draw it, but now what is this? what does this look like? What is that? And because I wasn't real familiar with sleeves and what they look like, you know, they just say measure 3 inches down. And I was like, but that don't, that, what? And I looked at so many videos and that's what they show. And that's why you know that people are teaching based on what other people, what they learn from other people. So it's like you watch a video and then you take notes and then you make your own video as if you know. And I'm like, do we need 100 of the same videos just done by different people? Or are we looking for maybe something this person didn't teach me that this person will? It happens in a bad community. Everybody's repeating things. And every so often you come across somebody who knows what they're talking about and they add in different information than other people. That's how I know that I can tell when I'm listening to somebody who regurgitating something they learned from somebody else. And just because they are good in being in front of the camera, that they're repeating the same thing. Like it's a lot of repetitiveness of things that don't need to be done. Okay. A lot of things that don't need to be done. For instance, when it comes to bad making, the idea that they think that you should do a line and then you make sure your ends are long so you can then pluck it to the back and then tie it off. And I'm thinking, what in the world are they talking about? And then everybody start doing it. So now new people come along who learning to do something. You're going to do what you see a lot of people saying do. And the idea that is not how things done. You know, back in the day, machines didn't even go backwards for you to backstitch and go forward. So we have people saying, make sure you go back and then go forward. Now I started saying that because, you know, I have with a computerized sewing machine. I didn't grow up with that. So I assumed that maybe it was something that these machines aren't doing. And the reason why you do that. So at first I was like, make sure you backstitch and stuff like that to lock the stitch. But you know, the people who are saying that don't understand sewing machines. If they're telling you to do that, they don't understand sewing machines. Okay. What a sewing machine does. Okay. So if you are creating something that's going to be stuck in a seam in any way, why do you have to go back and forward? It's going to be sewn inside of another separate seam. Then they make it seem like that even if one stitch came loose, they make it seem like, let's say that first seam in the beginning comes loose, they make it seem now all of it's going to come loose because they don't understand sewing machines. And that's why they say that because even if that one seam where I didn't backstitch, if that comes loose, that's the only piece that's going to come loose. Because the way the sewing machine is made, when it catches a loop, it ties it off. Each stitch, every time it goes in and the bobbin catches, it ties it off. And so it will never just come out. And therefore, you don't have to go forward and back in the beginning and the end. And so now, if you don't have to go back and forth in the beginning and the end, then guess what you don't have to do? You don't have to do something so you don't have to go back and forth in the beginning and end by tying it off. You just sew it. Sew it. That's it. So I'm like, what is going on? We got a lot of people out here giving information, even me giving information with this. Remember, I've learned this through YouTube University because this is not how my grandmother taught me how to draft patterns. In fact, my grandmother had measurements and then she would sit and then it would be a basic item. Where to fit all of us. And then with her measurements, the person measurements, with them in the pants is when she would start manipulating the fabric. That's how they did it. They didn't have no paper. They didn't have no patterns like this. Okay. They had something, they put the fabric, and once they get your body, your shape, they fit you. They start pinning that shit to fit your body. And then after they do that, right, they mark what things are with the pins on the chart, and then they take it down and they sew that shit together. That's how they did it. So that's how that's how I saw my grandmother do it, right? But my grandmother is a different generation, and therefore, by the time I started really getting into sewing for real, because I didn't even learn uh, anything about patterns. Like the teacher taught us, hey, this is the basic shape of an apron. Here you go, draw this, do this, and now here you go, sew this together. I don't remember ever seeing no pattern in home economics class during the sewing portion of that class. I learned about patterns when I was an adult, and then I started seeing patterns. Now, I'm not saying there wasn't any patterns. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, though, for the people who really was sewists, seamstress, whatever you want to call them, they didn't have no patterns. And if they did, it was a block. Okay, it wasn't a pattern like this. It was a block. And I seen a few people online who teach that way. Like I actually stumbled across a pattern that I've been looking for. I've been looking for a way like my grandmother taught, and I found somebody where when they sew this item together, it fits all sizes. You could be slim and you could be big and wear that same dress. You buy the dress for me, and no, and I was like, yeah, that's how my grandmother. That's what they used to do back in the day. This will fit you if you're larger, and it will fit you if you're thinner. And I finally found somebody showing that, and so I'm gonna look at it a little more and see exactly what they're doing, and see if I could do that. Okay. Now, so I don't know. Then we have people who go to what they call they actually go to school for doing, and they learn all kinds of different ways. So they know the ways that I'm talking about, and they know the more when a person is creating, they don't usually sit at no board and create. You know what I mean? Like they envision something, and then they put the fabric up and they just start pinning things the way they want it to be. They're not sitting. Now somebody can sit down and say, okay, here's the drawing. The person who did that then give that drawing to somebody. And then they figure out how they can create that. But this nonsense that I see going on YouTube, and the selling the patterns for damn here way more than they would sell in a store. Like, I'm not paying $10 for your bag pattern piece. Sweetheart, what I'm gonna do when it was $7, I was willing. Some of these people is damn near up to $15+ for a pattern, one pattern. Okay. And on top of that, every time I find one of these men or women, mostly women, who is selling their patterns, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's disgusting, because I can go and find somebody who created it for free online in a different language. This is the trick. They find somebody who made it for free in a different language. They get their pattern, and then they redraw it and sell it to us in English. But they themselves didn't create that pattern. And I'm thinking, well, that would be kind of sneaky. How would they feel if I took their pattern and then I recreated it and sold it? And like they wouldn't like that at all. But that's what they're doing, though, right? The people who actually know what they're doing, who sit down and they start creating. A lot of those people giving their patterns away for free. Like, they're saying, okay, you need this size, this size. I understand making money, but but you You done made the pattern. You done made $1,000 off of one pattern that you created already. And then you get greedy and you say, well, inflation, and then you raise the price of your patents. I'm thinking, what the hell? And then their argument is inflation. And I'm like, you created that patent 10 years ago. You still making money on it. What do you talk about inflation? It it took you, even if it took you 30 hours to make the pattern, you got paid for that time and time and time again. And right now you're just really being greedy. Okay. I'm really thinking because listen, I need money, and so I'm really they would think it's wrong, you know. But I think the people who will buy it will buy my pattern for $5 versus buying it for you for $15, and it's the exact same thing. I think there might be some people complaining about it, but I don't think most people. I think people gonna let their money do the talk, and so if y'all show me a bag and they charge you $20 for it, you know how simple it is for you to recreate that? You can look at, I can look at a bag and recreate it. Okay? You can make it smaller or bigger. You can make it the same size. If they even give you what the finished size is, you can figure out, well, with seam allowances, now you know what they started with. It's like, what? Why? I'm not understanding how people are paying for patterns that are. I understand clothing, right? I get clothing. I'm not understanding bags. Bags are squares, and might be some circles in there, and might be some triangles. I guess it depends on what the design. But mainly, when it comes to bags, we're talking about triangle. I'm sorry, we talk about squares and rectangles sewn together. Okay. Different sizes, different things. Now, when people give you instructions and a video to go with it, I guess that's cool. But is that worth $20? Then, oh my God, don't let me buy their pattern and then want to make the pattern online. Now they want me to get their permission. And I say, prove to me that this is your pattern. Because it's hard as hell to copyright patterns, baby. Listen, you can't copyright a pattern. You can't copyright this. Let me see. You can't copyright this. You can copyright that, though. See, that's the kicker. They can say, okay, this is our photo with our this is us, and they copyright their name. They cannot copyright this though. They can't even prove that this is theirs. They can't like they've been making tops like this, baby, since before we all born. So they cannot copyright this, right? They can't copyright none of this. They could copyright their name, which has a registered by, but they can't copyright none of this other stuff. And that's why somebody claimed that this is their design, but I can also sell this design and put my name on it. And it'll be fair game. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Most people won't do it. Some, like I won't do it. Okay. But if y'all don't see that you could go from Simplicity to McCall's to even Vogue and see the same dresses. The same exact dress, baby. Okay. Same dress. And then they got different sleeves, a bell sleeve, or different type of sleeves and things like that. Anyway, this game is what was getting me though is at one time people was making YouTube videos and they were making videos to help people, but of course when it becomes about money, nothing wrong with that, right? You're getting the views, you got the people like watching you sew, they like watching you create things. But now the game has gotten so deep that we got somebody who have no problem making your video, But then the person who you bought the pattern from mad at you for making a video. They want your permission, right? They want you to get permission from them to make their pattern on YouTube. Some of them want to charge you. They want to charge you. They, you know what I'm saying? And not only that, but some of the women and who make other people patterns want to charge the pattern maker. So if I create a pattern, they want to charge me to make a video to make my pattern. Baby, it's getting deep out here. Okay. It's getting deep out here. I'm like, wow. And then yeah. And then most of the people who selling you, right, they're making the videos, it's really business for real, because then they'll tell you you need to use this interfacing. Man, you gotta use, this is the best type of interface. Oh yeah, so you gotta be real picky in who you trust, because some of them people, they just advertising. They know different things. They telling me to use the app interfacing, and I trust theirs, and I buy the interfacing, and it gummed up my needle. Look, the interfacing itself is terrible as hell. They got this new interfacing that has a glue behind it, right? And so you peel it and you put it on, and they're like, "Oh, it's great." And then I'm waiting for somebody to tell the truth about it. That once you stick that shit on, you cannot take that shit off. And that's a bad thing. I'm also wondering why is people buying that shit. We have something called spray where you can put fleece in its place or any interface in its place until you sew around it. Then they'll say things like, well, it'll slip. And I'm thinking, what in the hell are these people talking about? Let me give you an example of what I mean by that. Let me see. Let me get a piece of fabric and a piece of interfacing. In case y'all don't know what interfacing is, interfacing could be anything. They don't say that. They only make it seem like you gotta buy a certain type of interfacing. You can use paper as interfacing, cardboard as interfacing. You can use all kinds of shit as interfacing. Okay. Okay. Oh, what time is it? 5:40. You doing it at 6, right? Yeah. Okay. I'll be done in a few. Mm-hmm. Just whenever you're done. I'm just rambling right now anyway. Okay, let's see. Let me get a piece of interfacing. I'm gonna just get a piece of anything actually. Because anything could be interfacing. It depends on the project, it depends on what you want the interfacing to do. So we talk about bags. Remember, bags don't get washed, so you don't have to worry about no shrinkage of nothing. It depends on what kind of bag we're talking about too. But mainly, bags don't get washed. Like, for example, this bag that I made, right? This bag would never get washed. It shouldn't get washed. Why? And in fact, this if something happened to this bag, just wipe it off, right? The inside, because the bag won't get washed, then you don't have to really worry about all the stuff that's inside of it. Like I put something inside of it because I reuse fabrics and things so it won't land in landfills. So what I ended up using on the inside of this bag is a tablecloth that they used for my grandson's birthday party. For my grandson's birthday party, they had this tablecloth on the table, and I cut it and used it as the inside of a bag. And there's nothing that happened to this tablecloth. I made sure it was sturdy. I made sure that just putting things in it won't rip it or anything like that, right? So anyway, they don't tell you that. Okay. But what they do make it seem like they say, okay, you got fabric, right? Let's say 2 sides of fabric. And then they tell you, oh, you need to use soft and stable or such and such and such and such. That's what type of stabilizer they tell you to put in it, right? Now, there's a difference between stabilizer and interfacing. Sometimes some stabilizers can be interfacing, but stabilize is to stabilize the fabric, right? Interfacing could be used to kind of give it some stability as well, but it depends on what you're trying to do, what your goal is to do with the fabric, right? So you can use a paper towel as interfacing. Did y'all know that? You could. My grandmother used to use a paper towel to put on the back, which would give it some stability. It depends on what you are making. Okay, it depends on what you're making, and it mainly depends on how it's used and if it's washable or not. There's things that we make that never will get washed through a washing machine. And even if it did get washed, it may go through a dry cleaner, right? A dry cleaner. And therefore, that's probably going to be based on the fabrics. And oh, my son is vacuuming. Oh my God. So I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna end because my husband's gonna be doing a stream soon. Um, oh my God. He didn't let something get caught in the vacuum. I could hear it. They don't know how to hear things though. They don't know how to listen. You can hear something wrong with that vacuum cleaner. Hold on. When you don't hear that something's wrong, huh? It Yeah, it's full. That's why it's doing that, but you don't know how to clean it. You don't know how to empty it out? No. What? No. No. What is I don't know what to tell you. Wow. Okay. So let me say this before because I'm in this, right? But this is my rant. My rant is that it's hard to find people who are gonna educate you for real without them having an end goal of selling you something. And I don't think some of the people, I don't think they know it. I don't think they know that they are advertisers because I think they really think what they're saying is true. Okay. So this is my thing. It's almost like they don't use common sense. Remember, I tell y'all all the time, common sense isn't as common as it should be. So they'll say, hey, you got this piece of fabric and you need an interfacing that will stick on because you don't want it to fall. And I'm like, fall? What you mean you don't want it to fall? Yeah, it need to be sticky. You need to iron it to it or base it to it or something. I'm like, what? Why do you need to do that? And they say, so it won't fall. And I'm like, fall from where? So remember, you take fabric and you sew it together. So we're going to use this bag that I made as an example. So I do have foam inside of here. And I did not base the foam in place. But not in as in basing it with sewing, and it's not glued on either, right? That is bad interfacing when you glue it on. Something that's glued on, that's what they're talking about, right? Because eventually through the years, depending on many things, like where you reside, like is it a lot of heat? Wait, are you using the bag out in the sun? Eventually, the glue that's holding that foam in place may start to separate eventually, right? Eventually, and if you can see, it depends on the type of fabric, you will start seeing the bubbles. That's some new shit though. That's some new shit that I didn't start seeing that until this new interfacing that you iron on came about. Because if you based it in place, then you ain't gonna see that separation, right? And then I don't like to base anything in place because now there's some things as glue, right? Like I'm talking about like a basting glue. It's just a small mist you put on. It'll hold it in place just long enough for me to sew, right? So when they say it will slip, what's going to slip? You have two pieces of fabric holding that in place. There's no such thing as it slipping. Slip to go where? What? It can't even move. It's like a sandwich, right? When you bite into the sandwich, you ain't worried about your meat slipping from between the two. Why? Because you holding it in place. That's what the stitches does. It holds it in place, and you bite, and it ain't slipping. Now a pickle or something may slip, I guess, depending on what all you got in there. That might be mushy, ketchup, mustard, whatever, right? But my thing is, these people say a lot of crazy things, man. They say a lot of crazy things that just common sense, it just don't add up. And that's how you know that they're selling things. And then we have new people on the scene, but they want a YouTube channel. So they'll listen to you and they'll listen to me, and then they'll make the same thing you just made or the same thing I just made, and they'll repeat what we just said. The problem with that is if you're repeating somebody who isn't giving real information, then you are too not giving real information. If you're repeating somebody who's here to advertise, then you become the advertiser also. You may not know it though. You may not understand that that's all you become. So yes, back in the day, a napkin, another piece of fabric, or a piece of plastic, or anything could have been interfacing. It just, and long as it met the requirements needed for the project in which you are making. So if I needed to put a zipper in place, like around where I put zippers or buttons, well, I could use, and it wouldn't be this type of let me see. Yeah, I could use this not this nap. Yes, I can use this napkin in as interfacing, y'all. You could use this napkin as interfacing. Because what you're looking for the structure in that area just to be structured. But it's not going to tear because you're gonna have to have added the interfacing by stitching it in place. And once the napkin is stitched onto something that does not tear, guess what? The napkin does not tear. Right? The napkin doesn't tear. So you want to put buttons here. So you put the interfacing, and then nobody knows the interfacing is there. Y'all don't be knowing the interfacing is there because it ends up being like this, right? With the edges in also. And the interfacing is just there. So when you put the buttons there, it has something else besides just the fabric, right? And it makes it a little more stable. And so I'm not suggesting that you use napkins. I'm just saying I have seen my grandmother use something very similar to napkins. You know what I'm saying? There, I do have some napkins in my home that will be strong enough to put and use as interfacing around the neckline and around where buttons go. So the idea that these interfaces is a whole cheat, like what in the hell? Y'all, interfacing is just another fabric, and it costs more than the fabric. And then not only that, but they don't even give you a whole like this fabric, right? If I get a yard of it, it's at least 42, anywhere between 42, 45 inches wide. But not the interfacing, though. The interfacing, which gonna cost just as much as, if not more than this fabric, is going to be how many yards you want, and it's only going to be half of that 45. It might be something like 20, 23 to 25 inches wide. And you was to buy another piece of fabric to interface your fabric with. Because that's all it is. It's a thinner fabric. So you interface with your fabric that you're using. That's what they used to do also. You need to interface the neckline. You cut a two. You cut the neckline and you cut a piece that's a little thinner and for the neckline, the same fabric. And now they're selling us something called interfacing and telling us we can sew it in place, right? Or we can iron it in place, or and so it's like, okay, like sewing used to be something you do and it would be cheaper than you go and buy clothes. Today, if I make you an outfit, costs more than if you go in the store. You could go into goddamn one of these expensive stores and buy you a prom dress for less than what I would make it for you. And I'm like, wow, like you know what I mean? Like you could go in there and get you a $300 prom dress. And if I use everything that these people tell me to use, I'm not talking about with the people who made those prom dresses, because I'm talking about if I use everything they tell you to use, the interface it here and use this in there and make sure you do this. And you know, I would it would I couldn't make that prom dress for that price. People not even, and what's weird, they not interfacing no goddamn clothes that you buy today out of those stores. The only you may if you go to a boutique, and then even then you have to look at the clothes. Just because it's a boutique don't mean those clothes are made to a certain standard. If you don't understand the difference between a jacket that is uh, come out of Walmart and a jacket that come out of a boutique, if you don't know the difference, then you will end up with the same thing. You just went to one store and paid more for it. Boutiques, though, their clothing is supposed to have linings in it. If you end up with a shirt or skirt or jacket with no lining, then that is not boutique quality. Okay. So some of y'all are going to these stores, and just because it's a certain store, you buying clothes and you paying high quality, you paying big money, but the quality of the clothes is not different. They sending that shit to Burlington Coat Factory. They sending a small amount to Walmart, and then they sent it to HMH, and then they sent it to one of them expensive stores too. I mean, hey, if I could sell you a cheap made outfit, but charge you big money just because of the name of my store, then of course that's more profit for me. So why wouldn't I get away with it? They know y'all don't know the quality of clothes anymore. And then they also know that, hey, as long as it look good before you wash it, y'all gotta understand. If y'all don't understand, the trick in that is all in the starch. I can make something that I just quickly made, starch it up, and it'll stand stiff and look nice on a hanger. And when you put it on, it'll look good on you. When you wash it though, you trying to figure out, wait a minute, where's the head? You're trying to figure, you wash it a couple of times and you took the starch out that made it real crisp and nice looking. You done, you done all kinds of things. Some of the fabrics is not tightly woven, and you know what I mean, so, really loosely woven. So after you wash it, it just loses all shape to it. All kinds of things is going on out here. But good luck. Okay. And if you want to start making your clothes, you don't have to have a sewing machine. You can do some stitches. Now, my husband gonna go live in a few minutes on my other channel doing some EDC stuff. But I love learning how people doing things, but don't get mad at me when I start comparing to what you're doing. That's the perfect person. I'm the perfect person who could talk about it, right? Because I'm not sitting back, not learning what you're doing, not trying what you're doing. In fact, I'm learning it and trying it and recreating the shit, right? The way you're telling me to do it. And then I'm the perfect person to tell you this don't make no sense. Okay? Because hey, when I showed you how to do it this way, She's showing you how to do it that way, and only one of us know the correct way. I guess both ways is correct, right? If it creates what you're trying to create, but one, you're saving money, and the other, you're wasting money. And to those who say, well, I got money, so, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I already kind of can pick up on what group of people you are when you say that shit, because for some reason, Black people are the only ones who say that stupid shit. We know we ain't got no money, but we act like we do. We act like we got money just to throw away. Everybody else, though, I'm talking to, they don't have no problem. They want to know, wait, you can do what? Yes. If you ever look at interfacing, look at it. I have some. I have some interfacing. I have all types of interfacing. I have fleece. Listen, I have the woven, non-woven. I have interfacing, baby. I don't have no reason to lie to you. Here we go. Let's look at this one. This is interfacing, and this has the bumpy side on it. I want y'all to look at that. What is that? That's a piece of fabric, baby. What's the difference between this and this? What's the difference between this and this? This and this. And besides the color, that is it. This is just as lightweight. I'm not sure if y'all can see it, but I can see clearly through this fabric. I can see the grain lines and everything. And in this also, I can see the grain lines. This is white, so you can, you may not be able to see it. And on this side is bumpy because of the glue that they put here. Wait, where you doing that? What? Your stream. Downstairs? Yeah. You using your cam down there? You going, huh? No. What you mean no? What you gonna use this? Which is better because you can have the table and you could just be pointing at the table, which is showing. That's how you do it? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so listen, this is a piece of fabric interfacing. This is a piece of fabric where they put some glue dots on it. And so you can glue this. But think about it. Why would you use this when you can use this doubly? Around the, if you're doing a collar, you cut another piece of this and sew it there. That's what you do. You don't need to buy this. This is the same thing as this. Back in the day, you ever seen where people say, well, why can't I get interfacing in black? This don't make no sense. You can see the white. You know why they don't sell it in different colors? Because it wasn't a thing. Okay, interfacing wasn't a thing. So you just double this up. You just cut another piece of this. I mean, you right there? Yeah, I'm on it. Okay, and here, and this is fleece, right? And I bought the type because it's cheaper. They have it without the glue on it, right? So this is sew-in fleece, but you don't really have to sew this fleece in. You can use that basting spray, would just hold it down just long enough for you to sew it into whatever you're sewing it into. There will be no slippage or none of that. Okay. So like the farther way we get from things and how it used to be, the farther away we get to the truth. And then people could sell you anything. Okay. It's too expensive out here. Look, I bought this and this is how wide it came. I was like, wait a minute. And then when I started to, I'm like, okay, it's not even this is like a cheaply piece of fabric. So it don't need to be expensive. You see how you could see through that really easily? It's not tightly woven, but it don't need to be because interfacing is just there to be a light interfacing. Sometimes it's there to give it structure, and sometimes it's there just because you want to structure the buttons. You don't want the buttons to end up pulling through fabric. So you have like two pieces of fabric. They have two pieces of layers of fabric, which make it harder to pull through both of them. Okay? So, um, so yes, but when I first started making bags, remember I'm new to making bags, so I was following what people were saying, and I'm like, okay, I'm buying this, I'm buying that, I'm buying this, I'm buying that, and then so you can't say that I haven't tried it. I just started realizing, okay, let me start paying attention to what it is that I'm buying. Anyway, I gotta go, hubby. About to start a stream soon. See y'all over there. Okay. Wait a minute. Gotta close this up. You getting everything now? Oh, that's what you're doing. Why you tell me that, man? Look at that, Joy. Bye, y'all.